Marvin Sapp, Vicky Winans, Brian Courtney Wilson, Trinity 5'7", American Idol winner Ruben Studdard. How about 6-time Stellar Award winner Vashawn Mitchell? That's right, they've all graced the Gulf Coast in the last year or so, and today the mastermind behind their appearance is the focus of today's Matters of Faith. Please welcome Miss Dianne Steele, who is the woman that I had the chance to befriend and get to know in the last year or so. You are with Shackle Free Marketing and Special Events. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Varion.
I have to tell you, you and I met with Marvin Sapp, and it's been interesting. Anyone who's known me and been along the Gulf Coast, when we talk about a lot of the talent that comes along the Gulf Coast, whether it's Mobile, Pensacola, Biloxi, when you're talking about folks along the caliber of Marvin Sapp or Brian Courtney Wilson, a lot of people are really surprised that they're here. I was one of the ones that said, okay, they're going to get Marvin Sapp, the guy with the #1 hit that has been on Billboard's charts for gospel, something ridiculous like 50 weeks. Brian Courtney Wilson was also another talent that was on Billboard's gospel charts for more than 50 weeks. And you're doing it. What is the secret behind getting all of this stuff done?
You know, I would have to say I'm humbled by the opportunity, but I really don't know what the secret is. I have what's called vision, and I'm not afraid to challenge the world.
And when you think about the talent in the world, the shift in gospel music, you know, you have Diedrich Hatton, you have Jamal Bryant, who is more of a minister, but he has a following because of social media. How much is social media, Facebook and Twitter, playing and getting the word out there about a lot of these stars, if you will, who are coming along the Gulf Coast?
I think Facebook is a #1 hitter these days. I mean, you find people who you have been looking for many years, and you meet people who you've never met before. So I would say that I depend on Facebook quite a bit just for my own personal social outlet, but it plays a huge part in advertisement.
Do you think that a lot of the people that you work with are really surprised to see that Vicky Winans is a comedian? I mean, she's hilarious when you think about what was that like bringing her here?
It's quite interesting. I think I told the investor for that event, Pastor said, I think I told him, I said, I think this is quite interesting, isn't it? She was very down to earth, very bubbly, just more than I expected. She really was.
And I think that's part of it. A lot of people see stars on Facebook and Twitter, but when you are the person who are bringing them to Mobile or to Biloxi or to Pensacola, areas along the Gulf Coast, you're letting them know that they're simply people too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Mobile, you have a new project that you heard it here first, folks, that you're getting ready to launch. Mobile has talent too.
Yes.
Give me a little idea of what's the vision behind that. How did that come about?
You know, amazingly, with all the people we come across and we get a chance to fellowship with, talk with, work with, it's always the same story all the time. I didn't know that you all had people that can sing like that. Because we have a dynamic praise team. Our MD is Luther Harris. We use them all the time. Tremaine Cults is another person who works with us. They're like a well-oiled machine. And every time an artist comes, they always just say, where did these people come from? And I'm just floored because I'm thinking, I'm embarrassed. Are you saying we're country?
Of course, that is that image. That is the image of Mobile in a lot of parts along the Gulf Coast.
And I shared that vision with my husband. I said, it's time for them to know what we have. So if they're really serious about believing we have what I already know that we have, let's see if we can get them to come back and this time be the judge of who's really the best.
Tell me about the method of Mobile's Got Talent. How are you doing that, and how can someone watching this contact you to get information of how they can enter? Do you have requirements much like American Idol where you have to be a certain age? Have you come?
No, we've just decided to not make it a big deal where it's hard for people to do. We want simplicity, but we want participation. So we're going to do it on June the 8th. That is, I think, the second Friday of June. And that Thursday, we're going to do an audition. And they'll just come, and some celebrity from somewhere will be there and say they're great or they're not. And that next night, everybody will perform.
Wow.
And we want people to walk away with something that night. We want one of these major labels to say, we've got to have this girl that night. We don't want to wait. We don't want to get an email. We want them to say it right there in front of Mobile.
Well, is the concentration strictly gospel music?
At this point, it is. My heart goes out to anyone who is an inspiring artist because I know that they're there. We know that they are there. But because of the work that we do and because of the way I saw the vision, I've got to follow it out the way the Lord gave it to me. However, because people like BET will be here, we may have to do another one.
Wow.
Just never know.
Wow. So how can they get in contact with you if they want to audition with that?
We're still working on it, but they can call our office always, area code 251-767-6469, and one of the local radio stations to get information.
Wow. Well, I also, my sources tell me that you're working on something that involves another big name in gospel music, Bishop Larry Trotter. Tell me about that.
Best kept secret ever. Bishop Trotter will be here in May, along with psalmist Dwayne Woods. So that's going to be wonderful. I think everybody's in expectation about it because the phones are already ringing. I'm thinking, how do they find this stuff out before we tell them? But they're coming, and we're excited about it.
Well, it's a great opportunity when you talk about gospel music. I think the shift when you think of Marvin Sapp and Vashawn Mitchell, is it my imagination or are these guys just turning what you and I knew as our father's Rock of Ages on its ear?
Oh, yeah.
And the popularity, am I crazy or is the popularity just stronger than ever?
It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
What do you attribute to that? What do you attribute to that?
I don't know. It's a new day, Varion. It's a new day and a new age, and God is doing a new thing. Not only within us, but within them. So that is why it's becoming easier to call them and say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I need. Would you come and fellowship with us? And the answer is yes.
Okay. Amazingly so. And Shackle Free is something that you have always done, but you have another vision in terms of you taking it to a different level, kind of stepping out on faith, if you will, regarding that. Tell me about the changes that are on the horizon regarding Shackle Free.
Well, behind every great thing is a great thing, or a great person, shall we say. And at this point, I would like to be the star player. I would like to say, this is what we're going to do, and here's the money to do it.
So you're going to step out on faith and back it and be the producer, executive producer, and handle the financing of it.
Absolutely.
Well, to quote someone you and I just recently met, I think it's Dr. Jamal Bryant who said it, don't die waiting for your dream to be born. What a way to do that. Absolutely. And Dianne, you and I have gotten a chance to know each other a little better over the last year or so. I have to say your audacity of hope and your tenacity has been something that I've always admired. And a lot of people know that you do a lot of work with social groups, just to name a few, the Mobile Youth Justice Coalition. You've worked with the City of Pritchard. You've worked with Viger High School. I have to say Blunt High School, if I'm going to say Viger High School.
Absolutely.
But some of the social groups that you work with, the American Cancer Society, tell me why that's so important for you to step out with some of the social groups that you work with as well.
The social groups are of importance for many reasons, but one in specific is my baby, Relay for Life, with the American Cancer Society. That is a personal something for me. I don't know if you know or not, but I battled cancer some years ago, and it was indeed a battle. And so I do understand the significance and the real need to have that support system for the Cancer Society.
So it's more than a labor of love for you. You are a survivor.
Absolutely.
And understand exactly what it is that those funds, because every charity in 2012, they're all going for the same dollars, and those dollars are shrinking.
Absolutely.
And you're very creative, Dianne, I have to say, in the way that you do Shackle Free Marketing, because you have a handle, you've got your finger on the pulse of the Gulf Coast. As we line things up, I have to tell you the thing that I admired most about you is that even when you brought Marvin Sapp and Vicki Winans and some of the other artists that you've brought, it was interesting to see how you made certain that you brought it at the beginning of the month versus the end of the month. Tell me about that part of it again.
That's something I always say. I've found it to be easier on the pocket of people when you talk about strategizing and trying to come up with something comparable for what the world is looking for. You have to be able to be empathetic and put yourself in their shoes. You know that at the end of the month, dollars are running a little light there, if at all. And so at the beginning of the month is always the best time to do those types of things because people have the chance to plan it in their budgets. when we have family things where people have several children, they have to make a decision, okay, are we all going to this or are we all going to that? So those are some of the things we consider in planning when we plan these different events.
And as we wrap things up here, it's been interesting to note that Bishop T.D. Jakes and Jamal Bryant and all of them have these mega churches, and you work in some capacity with a number of local churches as well. When you think about behind every strong man, there's a first lady, but to know that you've got Lady Di in the mix.
Gotta be kidding.
Okay. Also makes it almost a incredible success. I've watched what you've done, even with New Birth Community Church and Pastor Cedric McMillan, in terms of changing the dynamics of what Mobile is doing. New Birth is one of the few churches I've watched bring their events free. A lot of people want to know, you're going to bring Marvin Sapp free and not charge me anything for it? Again, wink, wink.
Yeah,
how is that possible? And is that just a part of your strategy and understanding the market and just making it happen?
With us as Shackle Free, it is a part of the strategy, just depending on what it is we have to do. But, you know, when you talk in terms of events for churches like New Birth and churches like that, you know, Pastor said is marketing master himself.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it plays better to just allow him to make the suggestions and you critique whatever it is he does. So he pays a big part of his own events. Mm-hmm. You know, we just get a chance to take the credit for one or two of them.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
But your handle on the local television market, the local radio stations, and a lot of people just believing and adopting your vision, if you will, Amen. As well. What is the thing, as we close things here, that you want everyone along the Gulf Coast to know about Dianne Steele and Shackle Free in terms of the vision and just really being true to your gospel roots? I mean, you would tease me all the time. I'm still hoping that you'll bring Smokey Norfolk. I've got my fingers crossed. Hit. You better come back with Smokey. Wait. I'm still waiting on Smokey. But, you know, what's been a part of the success as we close things out in terms of just you being able to keep Shackle Free out there in terms of marketing and a lot of people really enjoying your vision?
You know, it's a wonderful thing. You meet people like our local radio stations. You got your Felicia Albritton.
Absolutely.
We couldn't do it without her. You got people like Miss Janice Moore. You got Miss Teresa Yelding. You got so many people who say, okay, this is a good thing, and this is how you need to do to make it work. So there's always so many people who have their hands in what we do. You know, that's why I never take credit, because Shackle Free is just that. It's Shackle Free. There is no limit.
Wow.
So it's a little bit of everything and everybody who makes it work. A well-oiled machine.
Well, you know what? I think Mary could take a few cues from you regarding the whole mission behind Shackle Free.
Sure.
Much success to you in the future with your future endeavors. I know with you being at the helm of Shackle Free now that it will continue to succeed. And I think it's often said that God will always make room for your talent.
Amen.
Dianne,
Very humbled.
Dianne Steele, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
All right.